Coming up on this episode of the Village Idiom.
It's funny when like my head hits the pillow and then your mind just starts thinking about everything like that ever happened to you in all of life. And I'm starting to think that it's the memory foam.
Dum dum da da, Village Idiom.
Hello and welcome to the Village Idiom.
We are a podcast that every single week we choose a popular saying, we take an admittedly shallow and hopefully comedic and once in a while interesting, and if we're really lucky, educational dive into its usage, its origins, its meaning, but mostly we're going to use it to hang ourselves.
Nice.
No, to hang our otherwise directionless conversation on. My name is Jurassic Mark.
And I am Skinny, already hung. Anyways, getting into today's episode. You excited?
Yeah, this is it. Listen.
This is a wake-up call.
Oh, I hate Wake.Up.Call.
Wake-Up.Call.
It's a wake-up call.
It's a wake-up call.
Oh, how are you? Are you a natural waker-upper, or do you use an alarm?
Both. So remember the good old days of sleeping until noon?
Yeah.
Doesn't happen anymore, even if I want it, if I will it to happen.
But do you wake up naturally at like 6:37 now, or are you like, wait?
So somewhere in between. So I need an alarm to wake up, but the latest I would probably sleep without waking up is probably 8:30, somewhere in there. But my alarm clock is so quiet. It's like, so like it buzzes for a second and I'm awake. So I don't need a big loud anything.
I would use one on like holidays or this, or like you're going away, you got to catch a plane, you got something like a morning appointment that's like you've got to attend. Maybe in that scenario, but I prefer the natural.
Yeah.
Try to get to.
Do you just wake up ready to roll?
Well, my household gets going and that kind of stirs me. So
so you don't set an alarm?
No.
Wow.
Unless there's like a plane or something that I've got to, like you've got an 8 a.m. this. Or,
oh man, my daughter wouldn't be at school on time if I didn't set an alarm.
That part with the age of the kids, etc. They take care of all that themselves. They're great that way. So yeah. Otherwise, like maybe earlier in the scheme of things, but not now. It's just, I don't know, I just wake up and I'm ready to tackle the day, refreshed. Imagine like you, illegitimate children. You're just like, I'm ready to tackle today.
There's nothing fast about my daughter in the morning. I've expressed on here the love I have for my daughter, but she has Down syndrome, and I think part of it might actually be a quality that she's never rushed. Like
she's never gonna have a heart problem because she has no stress.
She is like, not stressed.
We're late.
Unless I'm yelling at her or something to get going. But yeah, if I said we have a half hour or we have 1 minute, it's the same speed.
Oh man, that's like no sense of time. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah. Fish sticks on Wednesday. Yeah, it's just I'm not stressed.
She's not routine like that. Otherwise, she probably would be stressed if I was like, we're not doing fish sticks on Wednesday. But she's just la-di-da. La-di-da-di. We like to party. We don't cause trouble. We don't bother nobody.
And she's always has a sunny disposition.
Oh, yeah, mostly.
Which is great.
Yeah, mostly.
I used to wake up grumpy, but now I let her sleep in.
I thought that was going to be a Snow White joke. I used to wake up grumpy, but now it's dopey or whatever.
Some sleepy doc thing.
I used to wake up bashful. I used to wake up sneezy. They all work, except for Doc. I used to wake up Doc.
Well, having like a good morning routine, they say, is like a fantastic. My wife is able to spring out of bread. Whoa, is that bread? She's able to spring out of bed and take on the day, and it's not uncommon where it's like, oh, I've made muffins already, and I haven't even woke up yet. I've made muffins.
That's great.
Did some reading and had a walk, and I'm. Is it today? Waking up naturally. She's about 2 hours earlier in her natural wake up.
That's amazing. Is that because of the routine of her being early
I know
to work?
She's an alarm clocker, and she has no problem setting that alarm and then getting up early and then walking away from that alarm and then heading out and leaving that alarm set
again.
Yep, just leaving it set. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, she's just able to spring out of bed and be happy and be productive.
So are you?
Wake up
use an alarm. I was going to say, do you hit snooze?
No, and confession's good for the soul. So now, because it's just so irritating, you're like, I was having a peaceful sleep, and then your 6:30 alarm, like, and her alarm clock is so like old. She had it since she was a kid.
Oh, she's like got a standalone alarm clock.
Yes.
Is it with
like,
bells or electric?
No, like radio. One of those radio, like with like just there's so many dials and things on it, and I start turning things and it doesn't turn off. So I've just gotten into
unplugging it.
If this thing goes off, I will unplug it. Yeah. Yeah, and then it's a hassle
Is it
for her
a
to set back
digital
up.
screen or
Yes,
one of those
digital screen.
flip letters?
No,
flip,
digital
flip
screen.
numbers.
No digital screen. So, anyways.
Wow. No, mine's the phone, but I don't even trust myself to hit snooze. I set like 4 alarms that are like.
What's this? I'm in between, and I set 4 alarms.
No, like it wakes me up immediately, but I choose to.
I think all alarms wake a person up immediately. I'm talking no alarms, period.
Oh, no alarms, period. I'll sleep till 8:30, 9 o'clock.
That's nice.
The most.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. The other day I slept till 11, but I was sick, and I'm like, wow, it's like half the day's gone. I sound like exactly what I used to think old people sounded like. Like, I can't sleep in, then half the day's gone. I'm like, in a good way.
It's funny when like my head hits the pillow, and then your mind just starts thinking about everything like that ever happened to you in all of life, and I'm starting to think that it's the memory foam. I'm like, I should never have got that stuff.
That's funny. That's great. It's funny how your head hitting the pillow sounds nice, but a pillow hitting your head sounds like someone's out to get you.
It's like a slumber party.
Yeah.
Or something, slumber party. So stupid. Anyways.
I think slumber party is distinctly a girl's thing, right? Like, did you go on slumber parties or did you just sleep over at your friend's house?
I slept over at friends' houses.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was like a slumber party.
No,
Sounds like
I don't think anybody ever called it a slumber party.
No, that's not cool anymore.
Was it ever?
Come on over to my slumber party. I'm good, thanks.
Slumber. We don't even use the word slumber, and kids are calling their parties
there's the slumber
that.
lodge, like hotel chain. I think there used to be.
Huh.
Anyways,
Slumberland. Oh no, that was Lumberland.
Slumberjack.
Slumberjack.
Slumbar support.
Slumbar millionaire. So ridiculous.
Anywho, these are some wake-up call type items.
Oh, what do you got?
Oh, no, just our general stuff that we've been talking about.
As you said that, you looked down at your phone. I thought you had like a list of
no, I did not.
Types
but I
of
did
wake
come,
up.
In my general search, I did come across. So of all calls, a wake-up call is not the worst. I got a phone call today from my twin brother who's in jail. He said, "Do you remember how we used to always finish each other's sentences?"
That's great.
I saw that. I'm like, yeah, but Michael think that's funny.
That's really funny.
Yeah. Anyways,
It's a life sentence. I've been here 20 years.
remember how we used to finish each other's sentences? Yeah. So a wake-up call of all calls is not the worst one to receive.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And we're on our way into origins, whatnot. But wake up call is as we've been using it. I think its origins are based in hotels and getting a wake up call.
Well, we're going to get into origins, but we should state that the idiomatic usage of this is an event that makes someone understand that something must change in their attitude or in their life.
Oh yeah,
that's the idiom version of wake up call, not.
And I've had a few wake-up calls in my life.
Exactly. So there's the wake-up call, which is all we've been talking about is, somehow arising in the morning. And then there's a wake-up call, which is like, I got to change my ways.
I think I've told you this once before when I set West Wind's church on fire.
Yes.
And that to me was a wake-up call to not play with fire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Did that change your ways, though? Because
yeah, it did change my ways. I've still done stupid things that involve fire, but not like I'm untouchable.
What do you mean?
Like you just like, fire, like, I've got to figure it out. Like, be cautious of it until you set a church on fire.
Because I remember after the church on fire, you still did. I've seen you multiple times light your arms on fire, like intentionally.
Yeah.
I've seen you create like a backdraft spiraling flame.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I've seen you burn things on concrete.
Yeah.
I've seen you using, I think, like airplane wire, send fiery rockets through a room to the front of the stage.
The fire emoji, I've used that. All sorts of dangerous things.
So these are all like after you have had your wake-up call.
Yeah, the pre-wake-up call, that was dangerous. We were like filling balloons with propane and all sorts of like just settling bombs. So many ridiculous things. But fortunately, here to tell the tale because
that's good.
I had a wake-up call.
Exactly. That's it. You're still here. Your arms are hairless, but otherwise you look good.
But I swim faster, and that's the important thing.
That's great.
Yeah, if you just got to find the positives. Yeah. Okay.
Ooh, speaking of fire,
that fantastic noise in the background is that there's been an invasive
ladybug situation.
The ladybugs are gone crazy. So in the studio is a bug zapper.
And it's on fire. Speaking of fire,
it's just a number on a ladybug.
Yeah, that's a wake up call around here.
It's like the Green Mile.
Decide to sleep in the studio, that'll wake you up.
Oh man. So anyways,
so I don't have a game for you because this one's a little too on the nose that I feel like it would be like, well, I could make one up. Does it come from hotel phone calls in the morning?
I think so.
Yeah, it probably does. Let's get into it.
I said some words, where'd they go? Where'd they go? No one can know. I turned around and looked behind. Those words came from another mind. Origin.
Toasty goodness. Well, as much as wake up call is an idiom, meaning you've had some incident that has caused you to, I don't know, recalibrate or refocus or change your ways in some form or another. It is true, as you mentioned before, that its origins are in wake-up calls. So the interesting at hotels. The interesting thing that is different than I think most of the idioms we've covered is wake-up call is currently used quite often, both literally and figuratively. Usually an idiom sometimes has derived from a literal use, but is no longer in literal use. This one, both are used quite regularly.
Yeah.
Wake up calls in the morning, like an alarm clock or a hotel phone call. I don't know if people still do the hotel phone call thing where, we're going to get into it. A desk clerk makes a person.
I think they do.
Makes a call to a person.
I think they
staying
do.
at the hotel to wake them up. Do you think people still ask for that?
I think that's still a thing.
Now,
I'm more of an Airbnb fellow, and they don't call you.
They don't call you.
No, that's the extra service.
That's extra charge. Yeah. Now I didn't include this in my notes, but have you ever heard of the? What do they call like pea shooter callers or something like that? So pre-alarm clocks, people were hired, and they had little pellet blowguns.
You're making this up for sure.
No, this is legit. There's a famous woman. You can find
Someone
her picture.
will come to your house and shoot you with a pea pellet.
Not you, but they'd be outside on the street. Okay, I'm looking it up. Early.
Okay.
They're out on the street with a pea shooter and would
Like shooting
rapid
rocks
fire
at your
your
window?
window until you wake up, so you're not late for work.
This sounds like a tricky line of business without shattering old school windows or. If you can hire somebody, maybe get a servant.
There's probably a better. Yeah, I can't find it.
It's because it's not real.
It is real. I'm telling you.
That's why you can't find it.
There's a famous woman. Oh, here, look at this. These are wake-up call. Wake workers. Wake workers is what they were called.
Those are people who come after a person is passed on.
Early.
It's like, I want to have a funeral, but not quite a funeral. I want to get together a bunch of people beforehand.
The modern worker gets
That's
out
a
of
wake
bed.
worker.
We turn off our alarm clock. But industrial era British and Irish workers relied on a different method. I'm reading this right out of the article. For rising each morning. In the 19th century and this is the name. They're called knocker-uppers.
Okay. I can see that it's true from you reading it.
Alarm clock.
It still sounds really made
known
up.
as a knocker-upper. They would go down the streets and wake paying customers. So you had to subscribe to this so that they were on time for work. Armed with sticks, or in the case of Mary Smith, this is the famous woman, she had a pea shooter. And they would tap on the windows or blast them with dried peas. Look at her. That's the alarm clock of the 19th
That's
century.
hilarious.
This is a black and white photo of like a... I'm just going to say frumpy older woman with a bamboo-sized, maybe
Ready?
rule of thumb-sized pea shooter.
Beep, bop, boop, beep, boop. Ring.
Front desk.
Hey, I'm looking for someone to help me out in the morning.
We have a special service. Mary Smith, the knocker-upper.
What's that again?
Mary Smith is our resident knocker-upper.
So she's,
What time would you like to be knocked up?
I was just looking for extra shampoo.
A maid will be right there.
and scene.
So yeah, that was a real thing. That's how you got a wake-up call. A knocker-upper. They would, because you couldn't be late to the mine, right? So Mary Ann Smith, she became a beloved presence along with her trusty pea shooter. Ping, ping, pew.
Well, that's not a terrible job.
I wonder how much she got paid. How much do you get paid to be a knocker-upper?
Or if you had to supply the peas.
Yeah. I mean, most hotels
she
also...
would get paid with, like, in food, and the least amount that she could use to rouse you, she could keep the leftovers.
So if I was staying in a hotel and I had to catch a flight early morning, and I have my phone, I have an alarm clock in the room,
And a knocker-upper.
and a potential wake-up call.
I'm on the 20th floor. Mary, you're going to have to blow harder. Mary, you're going to have to blow that pea shooter harder. I can only get past like 5 floors.
It's extra charge for anything over 8.
Oh, poor Mary.
It's got to have a
Well, I wouldn't believe it if I didn't read
David's sling. Oh, broke a window.
Poor Mary. So, yeah. That's a wake-up call.
That's a wake-up call. That is a literal wake-up call. Is a person from the front desk calling you at the time that you have chosen to, and they literally ring, ring, ring. Hello. Hi, this is your wake-up call.
I think it's automated now.
Now it is.
Yes.
But you remember when it was just a person, right? That was somebody's job in the morning.
Right. What if a bunch of people called for the same time? You're going to definitely be like 10. Like there's going to be an 801.
Hi, this is your wake-up call. Can you run next door? Knock on their door too?
It's like playing telephone. I can't do the 8 o'clock wake up. I can do 801.
Yeah, exactly. Because you got to make so many phone calls.
Right.
So the idiom wake-up call means an event that...
How about a 7:59? Very clever. It's like Price is Right, but for wake-up calls, because you're trying to get the time that no one else is called for.
Oh, yeah.
So you got to go a little bit earlier.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's smart.
I'm always thinking
$1.
I'm always thinking ahead regarding my knocker-uppers.
The idiom, like we said, means something has happened that causes you to change your attitude or your life. For instance, if one develops an unrelenting cough, can you relate?
Yep, that's definitely
Might be a wake-up call to quit smoking. Can you still relate?
Yep.
If one's credit card bill is high, it might be a wake-up call to draw on or drawing up a budget.
Mm-hmm.
So the idiom wake-up call is an event to change your ways. It came into use in the 1960s, and there's not much to it. Like that's how it's used. Something happened, and somebody said you may need a wake-up call. Having said that,
I recall having a friend, a fantastic person. He was real concerned because he went to the doctors and because he wasn't feeling right. He knew something wasn't feeling right, and so he went to the doctor and did a bunch of blood work on you. And he's like, they're like, you're diabetic. And so true story. He's like, oh man. So it was like really tough news, learning I was diabetic. And then he came to visit me. He's like and he came to visit with Slurpees in his hand. And it was like, do you know why you're diabetic, right? Yeah, I remember it.
do I know this person?
Yes. And I recall the thinking that if you got such horrible news from a doctor about something, would you change? And in my life's discovery, the answer is no.
Really?
Yeah.
Most people,
Yeah, so it's like this smoking is killing you. It's like, yeah, I'd rather just smoke.
Wow.
and yeah, you were on like a ventilator system. It's like the people putting the cigarette in the pipe hole like of their throat. Yeah, that they'll just continue on. It's like you'd think that would be a wake up call. No. Yeah, so it's not always the case. Oh, I've got this terrible news that I need to do X, Y, Z. It's like I'd just rather die early. Yeah, just send me out early.
Wow.
And have like knock 5 years off, but I'm not changing.
I mean, most people know that smoking or eating badly is already bad for you, so you're kind of just getting the news you kind of expected anyway.
Yes, you just don't ask.
Right. That's the answer.
Then you don't have to
There's no wake-up call.
No one ever said.
If you don't set an alarm, there's no wake-up call.
I prefer to receive my life disastrous things just naturally, like I wake up.
Yeah. Or then one day, I don't.
Just don't. But I wouldn't have been sad or stressed along the way.
So
Is it 1 minute till I have to go or 30 minutes? I don't know.
I'm fine not knowing.
I'm fine not knowing. It's like life advice.
So we have the origin story is that it comes from hotel wake-up calls, or did it? Because listen to this.
Okay.
It either was simultaneous or potentially the figurative use of it predates hotel wake-up calls. At least hotel. Like maybe wake-up calls predates hotels, and it's Mary Ann Smith. Maybe that's where wake-up calls comes from, not hotels at all. Is that was a service. Knocker-upper was a wake-up call service. But before the
I think
hotel...
the word call has to be involved. It's not a wake up.
Well, listen, in 1917, not that hotels didn't exist. Actually, did telephones exist in 1917? Maybe they didn't.
I don't know when all that...
Hey, Google, when was the telephone invented?
The 7th of March, 1876.
1876.
ScienceMuseum.org.uk.
Okay, Google, stop. So it does predate what I'm about to read, but this is figurative use in Munsey's magazine in 1917. It says, "It is not yet the time," he added, to emphasize the financial details. "It is the time, however, to sound the wake-up call." Hey, Google, stop. Now your phone's talking. Too many Google machines around here. But yeah, I
Just remember, we love our government.
I thought I
We
stumbled.
pay taxes.
I thought I stumbled
Thank you, tech
across
lords.
something that was like, the figurative use predates the literal use, but I guess it doesn't quite. So much for that.
It's a good idea, though.
Yeah,
You're potentially onto something.
felt
Hadn't-
good.
Had we not checked.
Had we not checked.
And this is the case in point. You didn't have a wake-up call.
Right.
But had you had one,
Right.
you wouldn't have got into it.
Right. Anyway, here's one. How about this?
A wake-up call!
Like, that is if you were mocking a Seinfeld impression, is this not the exact tone and melody?
What's with the wake-up call?
A wake-up call!
It's so bang on. Like, you couldn't mock him more
No one does Seinfeld impression like Jerry Seinfeld.
like Jerry Seinfeld.
So,
Well, what do you say?
well, let's get into it. Let's find some riddlings.
Riddling is a game we like to play. It takes a two-part trivia-based question, requires a two-part overlapping answer, overlapping by sound. Word, syllable, multiple words. Let me give you an example. Last week, episode 216, we covered the idiom rule of thumb, and we left you with this one. Make a guess using your opposable as to what the name of Hans Christian Andersen's Tiny Girl is. You had a different version of that, but it was the same puzzle. We both know what it is.
The answer being rule of Thumbelina.
That's right. So we got two answers, rule of thumb and Thumbelina, but that's not the answer. The answer is combination of the two, rule of Thumbelina.
It's the riddle link. Well, I've got a couple prepared.
I got a couple, and maybe we have the same ones again.
Let's. I'll go first so we can find out. This hotel alarm service is a first-person shooting franchise. This hotel alarm service is a first-person shooting franchise.
That's going to be your wake-up call of duty.
That's a wake-up call of duty.
Wake-up call of doom. Wake-up call, girl.
No, wake-up call of duty. You nailed it.
Okay. Wake-up call. Okay, I got one for you.
Okay.
This Mandalorian mantra was a revelation that opened my eyes. This Mandalorian mantra, I said mantra was a revelation that opened my eyes. Do you know what they say? Do you remember?
It's going to make me sad. I don't want to know the answer because I'm going to be sad afterwards.
You know what it is.
I know what it is. It's like it just jumps in my ear and then jumps out
So
again.
you know how
I
it
need
ends.
to slow it down.
You know how it ends because the second half is a revelation that opened my eyes.
This is the way.
Keep going.
This is the wake-up call of... This is the wake-up call.
This is the wake-up call.
Oh, I'm sorry. Village Idiom children for sure beat me on that one.
You got there.
This is the way. Oh, that was a good one. I was going to be so sad had I not figured
This
it
is
out.
the wake-up
This is
call.
the way. Hopefully season 3 or whatever is coming out soon, or 2 or whatever.
Just saw
it is.
that now, yeah.
Okay. Here we go. It's a 9.0 tectonic shift, and that's how I start my day.
Whoa, do it again.
It's a 9.0 tectonic shift, and that's how I start my day.
I wasn't completing it. I couldn't get it in my head. That's great. That's a good one. It's Earthquake Up Call. That's hard to say. Earthquake Up Call.
It's an earthquake up call.
Ooh, that's sneaky. I like that one. I like when you get that much of an overlap. I mean, we've had longer overlaps, but that's a good one. Quake Up Call. Earthquake Up Call. Ooh, that's fun.
Tip of the thumb.
Francisco.
Tip of the thumb, the teeth, the lips.
Well, I got one more about, which is not Earthquake Up Call. So give everybody
Illegitimate
the
children.
deets.
We would love to hear from you. Reach out to us on Instagram at the.village.idiom or email us thevillageidiompodcast@gmail.com, or whether it's the Facebooks, the YouTubes, or the Twitters at 3 Minutes Gone.
And if anybody has information to know how much one would pay for a knocker-upper, let us know. Here's the final Riddle-Link puzzle. It's a shorty. Here we go. A sandwich artist eye-opener. A sandwich artist eye-opener.
And that's 3 Minutes Gone.
You got it obviously
Yeah,
right away.
that's a good one. I love it. When shorter, the better like that.
I know, right?
You feel accomplished with
Yeah.
less words. Yeah,
Exactly.
So I enjoyed. You strive for greatness and succeed, my friend.
Thanks, man. Your encouragement is overwhelming.
Well, it's fun putting today's episode together. Get back on that elliptical, or get off the elliptical.
I wonder if you could set our podcast to be your alarm clock. Is that a thing?
Oh, probably.
This
There's some
episode
app.
217 wake-up call could be your wake-up call.
That'd be a great wake-up call.
Huh.
Or would
Or
it?
would it?
I'm Skinny,
I'm Jurassic Mark.
and these are the Village Idioms.
Wake up, call, caught you in the morning.
That's 3 minutes gone.